The bridge of the inevitable Dominion stretched wider than most Earth buildings. Its polished black floors reflected the light from 1,000 display screens. Admiral Krextor stood at the center, his forearms crossed behind his back. His purple scales shimmered under the artificial lighting. He was the pride of the Zalathi Empire, commander of the largest fleet ever assembled. 10,000 ships followed his command. Each one was a masterpiece of destruction. The smallest destroyer could turn a moon to dust. The largest dreadnoughts could crack planets open like eggs. Together they had conquered 47 star systems. No civilization had lasted more than 3 days against them. Today they would add Earth to their collection. Admiral, his second-in-command, Sub-Commander Valeth, approached with careful steps. Her green scales showed hints of yellow, a sign of excitement among their kind. "We are approaching the target system, the one the natives call Sol." Krextor turned his massive head. His 6 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of amusement. "Show me this Earth again. I want to see what we're about to own." The main screen flickered to life. A small blue planet appeared, floating in the darkness of space. It looked fragile, like a glass ornament. Around it a few metal structures orbited lazily. Space stations Krextor recognized, but primitive ones. They looked like toys compared to Zalathi technology. "Tactical analysis," Krextor ordered. Another officer, young and eager, stepped forward. "We detect only 300 small vessels in the entire system, Admiral. Most appear to be cargo ships. Their military presence consists of perhaps 30 patrol craft. None larger than our smallest scout ships." The bridge erupted in laughter. The sound was like grinding metal the way the Zalathi expressed joy. 30 ships, someone called out. "My personal guard has more ships than that." Krextor raised one hand and silence fell immediately. "What about planetary defenses?" "Minimal, Admiral. A few orbital platforms around Earth. Some ground-based installations. Their most advanced weapons appear to be nuclear missiles." The officer paused. "They still use chemical rockets for most of their space travel." More laughter filled the bridge. Chemical rockets. The Zalathi had abandoned such primitive technology 3,000 years ago. Krextor walked to his command throne, a massive chair carved from the bones of conquered species. He settled into it with satisfaction. "Tell me about their messages." "The ones our spies intercepted." Veleth pulled up the data. "They call themselves humans, Admiral. They've been broadcasting radio signals into space for less than 200 years. Television programs, music, messages of peace." She couldn't hide her disgust at the last word. "They actually sent a probe with a golden disc, containing greetings in multiple languages. They want to make friends with alien species." "Friends?" Krextor repeated the word like it tasted bad. How pathetic. They announce their location to the universe and expect friendship? They might as well paint targets on their cities. He remembered the Imperial Council meeting 3 months ago. The moment when Earth's fate was decided, the council chamber had been filled with the Empire's most powerful leaders, all eager for new conquests. "Earth is perfect," the intelligence minister had said. "Rich in resources, good location, and completely defenseless. They don't even have energy shields. How long for complete subjugation?" the Emperor had asked from his towering throne. 3 hours at most, Divine One," the minister had replied. "Their technology is at least 500 years behind ours. Possibly more." The Emperor's approval had been immediate. "Take the Grand Armada. Show these humans the price of weakness. Make an example of them, so other primitive worlds know to surrender immediately when we arrive." Now, 3 months later, Krextor was about to fulfill that command. "Admiral," the navigation officer called out, "we're approaching the outer system. Shall we exit hyperspace?" "Do it," Krextor commanded. "All ships prepare for dimensional translation." We arrive in force. Let them see the full might of the Zalathi Empire. Space itself seemed to scream. 10,000 points of light tore through reality. The fabric of spacetime rippled and bent. One by one, the Zalathi warships emerged from hyperspace, their hulls gleaming with energy. Destroyers, cruisers, battleships, dreadnoughts, and the massive command carriers. They filled the space near Neptune, a wall of metal and death. The inevitable Dominion emerged last, twice the size of any other ship. Its hull was covered in weapon ports, each one capable of devastation. The ship was a city in space carrying 50,000 warriors ready to occupy Earth. "Fleet status," Krextor demanded. "All ships accounted for, Admiral. Formation is perfect. Weapons are charged. Shields at maximum. Communications, open a channel to Earth. Let them know their new masters have arrived. The communication officer worked his console. Channel open, Admiral. Krextor stood, his full height impressive even among his own species. Humans of Earth, his voice boomed across space. I am Admiral Krextor of the Zalathi Empire. Your planet now belongs to us. You have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally. Any resistance will result in the complete destruction of your cities. Your leaders will report to us immediately. Your weapons will be powered down. Your ships will be destroyed. This is not a negotiation. This is a statement of fact. He cut the transmission and returned to his throne. Now we wait. Let them panic. Let them realize how hopeless their situation is. Minutes passed. The bridge crew watched their screens, expecting to see Earth's pathetic fleet scrambling to respond. Instead, they saw nothing. No movement, no panic. The human ships continued their regular patrols as if nothing had happened. Admiral, the communication officer looked confused. We're receiving a response from Earth. Put it through. The main screen changed. Instead of a frightened human leader begging for mercy, they saw a simple text message. It was written in perfect Zalathi, which should have been impossible. Humans had never encountered their language before. The message read, "Please reconsider. This is your only warning." Silence filled the bridge. Then slowly, laughter began again. It started with one officer, then spread to the entire crew. Even Krextor found himself laughing, his throat sacs inflating with mirth. They warn us? Velith gasped between laughs. 30 ships against 10,000 and they warn us? They must be insane, another officer added. Or perhaps their translation software is broken. They meant to surrender but sent the wrong message. Krextor wiped tears from his lower eyes, a sign of extreme amusement. Send another message. Tell them their warning is noted and rejected. They now have 30 minutes to surrender. Another message came back immediately. This time it was longer. Admiral Krextor, we know who you are. We know your empire's history. We know you have conquered 47 systems. We are aware of your fleet's capabilities. Despite this knowledge, we ask you once more to leave peacefully. This solar system is under protection. Your empire can still choose a different path. There is no shame in wisdom. Krextor's amusement turned to anger. His scales shifted from purple to deep red. Protection? Whose protection? They have no allies. They have no fleet. They have nothing. Perhaps they're bluffing, Admiral, Velith suggested, trying to make us think they have hidden defenses. Scan everything, Krextor ordered. Every moon, every asteroid. Find their hidden fleet. The sensors swept through the system. They found mining operations on asteroids, scientific bases on moons, civilian habitats around Jupiter, but no hidden fleet, no secret weapons, nothing that could threaten even one Zalathi destroyer. Admiral, scans complete. We detect no additional threats. Earth is exactly as weak as our intelligence suggested. Krextor stood again, his patience exhausted. They want to play games? Fine, all ships advance to Mars orbit. Weapons to ready status. If Earth wants to pretend they have power, we'll show them what real power looks like. The Grand Armada began to move. 10,000 ships accelerated in perfect formation, their engines lighting up the darkness. They were death incarnate, moving toward a small blue world that dared to warn them. On the inevitable Dominion's bridge, confidence filled the air. They had done this 47 times before. Earth would be number 48. Just another conquered world for the Empire's collection. They had no idea they were flying toward their end. The Grand Armada moved through space like a swarm of metallic death. Each ship maintained perfect distance from its neighbors. The formation was a work of art, practiced across 100 battles. From the front, the fleet looked like a spear aimed at Earth's heart. Admiral Krextor studied the tactical displays with growing satisfaction. They had passed Neptune's orbit without incident. No resistance, no hidden defenses. The humans hadn't even moved their pathetic patrol ships. It was almost disappointing. Sub-Commander Velith, he called. What do you make of their lack of response? Velith moved closer to the command throne, her scales shifting to a thoughtful blue-green. Either they're paralyzed with fear, Admiral, or they genuinely believe they can defend themselves. Given their primitive technology, I suspect fear. And yet they warned us, Krextor mused, his 6 eyes focused on different screens simultaneously, a ability that made the Zalathi excellent battlefield commanders. Twice. Delusion, Admiral. We've seen it before. The Karani thought their prayer shields would protect them. The Volm believed their warrior tradition made them invincible. Both fell in ours. Krextor nodded. She was right, of course. Every species thought they were special until they met the Zalathi Empire. Earth would learn the same lesson. Admiral, the intelligence officer interrupted. I'm detecting something unusual. Explain. The officer's fingers danced across his console, his face showing confusion. Earth's surface is shimmering. It's subtle, but our deep-range sensors are picking up some kind of field effect. It appears and disappears randomly. A shield. Krextor leaned forward. No, Admiral. It's not blocking anything. It's more like reality itself is flickering, and there are quantum fluctuations throughout the system that don't match any natural phenomenon. Velith laughed. They probably had a reactor malfunction. Their primitive technology is probably falling apart from fear. But Krextor wasn't laughing. Something felt wrong. In 47 conquests, he had developed an instinct for danger. That instinct was whispering now, even though logic said there was no threat. Increase sensor resolution, he ordered. I want to know what's causing those fluctuations. Before the officer could comply, the main screen lit up. A human appeared. Not a message this time, but an actual hologram, impossibly clear and standing on their bridge as if physically present. The Zalathi weapons officers immediately raised their sidearms, but the bullets passed through empty air. The human was female, middle-aged by their species standards, wearing a simple gray uniform with no visible rank insignia. Her expression was calm, almost sad. Admiral Krextor, she said in perfect Zalathi, not translated but actually spoken in their complex language with all the proper throat inflections. I am Ambassador Sarah Chen of Earth. I'm here to offer one final opportunity for peace. How are you doing this? Krextor demanded. This hologram technology. Your species doesn't have this capability. Sarah Chen smiled slightly. Admiral, there are many things about humanity you don't know. We've been watching your empire for quite some time. We know about Karani. We know about Volm. We know about all 47 civilizations you've conquered. Impossible. You've barely left your own planet. That's what we wanted you to think. Her expression grew more serious. Admiral, I need you to understand something. Earth has been deliberately appearing weak. We've hidden our true capabilities for a very specific reason. Krextor stood, his full height towering over the hologram. You're bluffing. If you had advanced technology, you would have colonized other systems. You would have built defenses. We would have become like you, Chen interrupted. Conquerors, destroyers, we chose a different path. You chose weakness, no, Admiral. We chose wisdom. Chen gestured and smaller holograms appeared around her. They showed ruins, dead worlds, broken civilizations. Do you know what these are? Krextor didn't answer, but he recognized some of them. Ancient ruins found throughout the galaxy, civilizations that had died out long ago. These are the remains of 10,000 empires, Chen continued. Each one thought they were invincible. Each one conquered and destroyed, and each one eventually fell. We found them, Admiral. We studied them. We learned from their mistakes. And what did you learn? Velith asked mockingly. That appearing strong makes you a target. That conquest creates enemies. That every empire, no matter how powerful, eventually faces something stronger. Chen's hologram walked across their bridge as if inspecting it. So we chose to appear weak. To develop in secret. To watch and wait and protect. Protect? Krextor laughed. You can't even protect yourselves, can't we? Chen stopped walking and faced him directly. Admiral, you're about to fire warning shots at our moon. When you do, those shots will simply cease to exist. You'll think it's a weapons malfunction, but it won't be. It will be us showing you a fraction of what we can do. The bridge fell silent. How could she know what he was planning? He hadn't even given the order yet. It had only been a thought in his mind. You're reading our thoughts? Velith asked, her scales now showing fear yellow for the first time. No, Chen replied. We're running predictive models. Your empire is remarkably predictable, Admiral. In 47 conquests, you've fired warning shots at moons or uninhabited planets exactly 39 times. It's your standard intimidation tactic, Krextor's anger flared. Weapons officer, target Earth's moon. Fire a single plasma burst. Let's see if this human's predictions are accurate. The weapons officer hesitated for just a moment, then followed orders. On the main screen, they watched as the inevitable Dominion's forward cannon charged and fired. A bolt of superheated plasma hot as a star's core streaked toward Earth's moon. It made it halfway before it simply vanished. Not exploded, not deflected, not absorbed. One moment it existed, the next it didn't. What did you do? Krextor demanded. We removed it from reality. Chen said simply. The same way we could remove your entire fleet. But we don't want to do that, Admiral. Despite everything your empire has done, we believe every species deserves a chance to change. Lies and tricks, Valeth snarled. One plasma bolt means nothing. Admiral, we should attack with everything we have. But Krextor was watching the sensor data. The quantum fluctuations had increased when the plasma bolt disappeared. Whatever the humans had done, it had required enormous energy that shouldn't exist on Earth. Tell me about these 10,000 dead civilizations, he said slowly. Chen's expression softened slightly. They all made the same mistake, Admiral. They believed force was the answer to everything. They conquered until they met something they couldn't conquer. Sometimes it was another empire. Sometimes it was a natural disaster. Sometimes it was their own internal collapse. But they all fell, and humanity learned from this. We did. We found their ruins when we first reached the stars 80 years ago. We've been studying them ever since. We learned their science, their mistakes, their weapons, and we made a choice. What choice? To be guardians, not conquerors, to protect younger civilizations from empires like yours, to give species a chance to grow and learn without being enslaved or destroyed. Krextor's mind raced. 80 years ago. But humanity had only developed faster than light communication in the last decade, according to all intelligence. Unless you've been hiding for 80 years? Longer, actually. We discovered something in those ruins, Admiral. Something that changed everything. The last message from a dying civilization, warning whoever found it about the true nature of reality, about what's possible when you stop thinking in terms of weapons and shields and start thinking in terms of fundamental forces. The hologram of Chen flickered, and for a moment, Krextor saw something else. A massive structure around Earth's sun, hidden in some kind of phase shift. Cities floating in dimensions that shouldn't exist. Ships that weren't ships but folded space itself. Then it was gone and Chen stood there looking sad. We don't want to hurt you, Admiral. Any of you. Every life in your fleet is precious. But Earth is under our protection. The entire Sol system is. And if you continue forward, we will stop you. 10,000 ships, Krextor said. You can't stop 10,000 ships. We stopped the Devourers, Chen said quietly. They had 1 million ships. It took us 3 seconds. The bridge went cold. The Devourers were legend. An ancient threat that had supposedly consumed entire galaxies before vanishing. Every spacefaring species knew the stories. The Devourers are myth, Veleth whispered. The Devourers were real, Chen corrected. They came for Earth 30 years ago. We made them not real. The same way we'll make your weapons not real if you fire them at Earth. The same way we'll make your threat not real if you continue. She started to fade. You have 1 hour to decide, Admiral. Leave peacefully and your empire continues. Stay and attack and we'll be forced to demonstrate why Earth has survived when 10,000 civilizations didn't. The choice is yours. The hologram vanished, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Colonel Sarah Chen removed the neural interface crown from her head and set it carefully on the console. The holographic projection system powered down with a soft hum. She was not on Earth as the Zalathi believed, but in humanity's actual defense station, hidden in a pocket dimension between Mars and Jupiter. The command center around her was nothing like the primitive space stations the Zalathi could see. The walls were made of crystallized energy, constantly shifting between states of matter. Officers moved through multiple dimensions simultaneously, monitoring thousands of data streams from across reality itself. This was Earth Defense Command, and it existed in a space that technically didn't exist. Ma'am, the Zalathi fleet is holding position, Lieutenant Harrison reported from his station, or rather from all 6 of his stations as he existed in multiple probability states at once. Admiral Krextor appears to be debating with his officers. Chen nodded. She had expected this. The Zalathi were brutal but not stupid. The disappearing plasma bolt would have raised questions. Maintain passive observation, she ordered, and prepare to execute Prometheus protocol if necessary. General Okonkwo approached, his footsteps echoing strangely in the non-Euclidean space. Colonel, are you certain diplomacy was the right approach? We could end this now. We could, Chen agreed, but that would make us no better than them. She walked to the main viewing sphere, a perfect orb of space-time that showed everything happening within 50 light-years in real time. The Zalathi fleet appeared as angry red dots, pulsing with aggressive intent. But there were other dots, too. Blue ones, green ones, Peaceful civilizations that didn't even know Earth was protecting them. Tell me, General, do you remember when we found the first ruins? Okonkwo's expression softened. Titan 2077, I was just a captain then. The Ashanti civilization, Chen recalled. Dead for 50,000 years. But their final message survived. She gestured, and the sphere showed a recording. An alien figure, insectoid but somehow noble, speaking words that had been translated long ago. To whoever finds this, know that we failed. We built weapons that could shatter stars. We conquered 1,000 worlds. We thought ourselves gods. But power without wisdom is death. The universe has rules deeper than physics. Break them and reality itself turns against you. Learn from our mistake. Choose guardianship over dominion. Choose protection over conquest. Choose wisdom over strength. The recording ended and Chen turned back to the general. We almost made their mistake. Remember the first decade after we developed reality manipulation? The wars we almost started? The Chinese wanted to use it against the Americans. The Americans wanted to use it against everyone. If the European Union hadn't proposed the Prometheus Accords, we would have destroyed ourselves, Chen finished. Just like the Ashanti. Just like all the others. A younger officer, Captain Reyes, looked up from her quantum monitoring station. Ma'am, I'm reading massive energy buildup in the Zalati fleet. They're charging all weapons. They're going to test us, Okonkwo predicted. Fire everything at once to see if we can stop it all. Chen returned to her command chair, a seat that existed in 17 dimensions simultaneously. Show me the true defense grid. The viewing sphere changed. Suddenly, space around Earth wasn't empty. It was filled with machines. Billions of them. Each no bigger than a grain of sand. But together they formed a network that could reshape reality itself. They existed in a dimension just slightly out of phase with normal space, invisible to any scanning technology that didn't know exactly what to look for. The Prometheus Network, Chen said proudly. Every single particle can manipulate matter at the quantum level. Together they can do anything. Create matter from nothing. Turn energy into matter. Turn matter into energy. Bend space, stop time. Whatever we need. It still feels like too much power for anyone to have, Reyes admitted. It is, Chen agreed. That's why we have the restrictions. The Council of Nations has to vote. The Ethics Committee has to approve. The Reality Safety Board has to confirm there won't be cascading effects. Even then, we can only use it for defense, never offense. But the Zalathi are about to attack, Harrison pointed out. That makes it defense. Chen pulled up the files on the Zalathi Empire. 47 conquered civilizations. Billions enslaved. Entire cultures erased. They're monsters, she said quietly. But even monsters can change. We have to give them the chance. And if they don't take it, Chen's expression hardened. Then we show them why Earth survived when 10,000 civilizations didn't. She opened a new display, showing Earth's true history since first contact with alien ruins. The secret lunar bases where humanity reverse-engineered alien technology. The Mars facilities where they learned to manipulate fundamental forces. The Jupiter moons where they discovered how to fold space-time. The Saturn research stations where they broke the barrier between dimensions. 80 years of hidden advancement, Okonkwo said, while the galaxy thought we were barely reaching our own moons. The perfect disguise, Chen agreed. We leaked just enough technology to seem like we were advancing normally. Chemical rockets for show while we traveled between dimensions. Radio telescopes searching for aliens while we watched them through quantum entanglement, playing primitive while we became something else entirely. Ma'am! Harrison's voice was urgent. The Zalathi are moving. Full acceleration toward Earth. Estimated arrival in 3 hours at current speed. Chen stood. Have they responded to our message? Yes, ma'am. Admiral Krextor sent a reply. Put it through. The viewing sphere showed Krextor's message. The alien admiral stood proud and defiant. Humans of Earth, your tricks don't frighten us. You may have some hidden technology, but no single world can stand against the might of the Zalathi Empire. We have conquered species with better technology than yours. We have destroyed civilizations that existed for millennia. Your warning is rejected. Surrender now or be destroyed. The message ended. Arrogant fool, Okonkwo muttered. But Chen was studying the message more carefully. Look at his secondary arms. See how they're trembling? He's scared. He's putting on a show for his crew, but he knows something is wrong. It won't stop him from attacking, Reyes pointed out. No, it won't. Chen returned to her chair. All stations, this is command. Initiate Prometheus Protocol Level 0. Passive protection only. Let's see what they do first. Across the hidden dimension, officers prepared humanity's true defenses. The reality manipulation engines hummed to life. Quantum processors calculated probability paths. Dimensional barriers strengthened. "Ma'am, what about the other human colonies?" Captain Reyes asked. "Should we warn Alpha Centauri?" "Proxima Station." "They already know," Chen replied. "The quantum network keeps all human settlements connected. They're watching through entangled particles. If we fall here, they'll know to activate their own Prometheus networks." "If we fall?" Okonkwo scoffed. "Colonel, we could turn their entire fleet into flowers if we wanted." "We could," Chen admitted. "The Ashanti could shatter stars, remember? And where are they now?" She pulled up another file. Every dead civilization we found had some ultimate weapon. The Krull had time erasure bombs. The Vendi had consciousness-destroying waves. The Gorvak had devices that could delete matter from existence. They all thought they were invincible. But they weren't, Harrison said quietly. "No. Because the universe has safeguards. Push too hard against reality and reality pushes back. Use too much power and power consumes you. We learned this from their mistakes. That's why we limit ourselves," Reyes understood. "Not because we can't do more, but because doing more would destroy us." Chen nodded. "The Prometheus Protocol has built-in restrictions. We can defend. We can disable. We can protect. But we cannot destroy on a massive scale. We cannot alter the fundamental constants of reality. We cannot play God. Even against the Zalathi? Especially against the Zalathi. They're the test, don't you see? If we break our rules for them, we'll break them again and again, until we become just another dead civilization for someone else to find." An alert sounded. Lieutenant Harrison's multiple selves all spoke at once. "Ma'am, the Zalathi fleet has entered Mars orbit. They're spreading out into attack formation. Good God, they're targeting cities. All major population centers on Earth." Chen felt the weight of command. 8 billion lives depended on her decisions in the next few hours. "Show me the targeting solutions." The sphere lit up with red lines. Each one represented a weapon aimed at Earth. 10,000 ships. Hundreds of thousands of weapons. Enough firepower to turn Earth's surface into glass 100 times over. "Colonel," General Okonkwo said formally, "as military advisor, I recommend immediate activation of Prometheus Protocol Level 1. Disable their weapons before they can fire." "Ethics Committee recommendation?" Chen asked. Another officer, Dr. Williams, consulted his screens. "The committee agrees. The Zalathi have shown clear hostile intent. Defense is authorized. Reality Safety Board? No cascade risk detected for Level 1 activation, ma'am." "You have full clearance." Chen took a deep breath. In her hands was power beyond imagination. The ability to stop 10,000 ships with a thought, but also the responsibility to use that power wisely. "Colonel, they're entering final attack range," Harrison warned. Admiral Krextor stood on his command bridge, watching Earth grow larger on the main screen. The blue planet looked so fragile, like a bubble that would pop at the slightest touch. Behind him, 10,000 ships of the Grand Armada waited for his command. Each captain was eager for glory. Each warrior ready to claim their share of Earth's riches. "All ships, final weapons check," he ordered. His voice carried across the fleet through quantum communicators. "On my signal, we fire everything. Let's see their hidden technology stop 10,000 ships firing at once." "Admiral," Velith said quietly, moving closer. "What if they weren't bluffing?"
"What if they really can stop us?"
Krextor turned his 6 eyes on his second-in-command. "Then we'll know their limits. No defense is perfect. Even if they stop 90% of our fire, the rest will break through. Earth will burn." He raised his primary arm. Every weapons officer in the fleet tensed, fingers hovering over their triggers. The moment had come. Earth's Judgment Day. "For the glory of the Zalathi Empire," Krextor announced. "Fire! 10,000 ships unleashed hell. Plasma beams, antimatter missiles, kinetic projectiles, quantum torpedoes, graviton bombs, and weapons. Earth had no names for streaked through space. The darkness between Mars and Earth lit up like a new sun being born. It was the most beautiful and terrible sight Krextor had ever seen. And then time stopped, not slowed. Not paused. Stopped. Krextor could still think, could still see, but he couldn't move. Not even his eyes. He was frozen, watching his weapons hang motionless in space. The plasma beams had become solid bars of light. The missiles were statues. Even the explosions that had just begun were frozen mid-blast like flowers made of fire. A voice spoke directly into his mind. Not through his ears, but somehow inside his thoughts. It was Colonel Chen, but different, older, sadder, like she had lived 1,000 years in an instant. "I'm sorry, Admiral. We tried to warn you." Time resumed, but everything was different. Krexter watched in horror as his weapons began to dissolve. Not explode or vanish, but dissolve like salt in water. The plasma beams broke apart into individual photons that scattered harmlessly. The missiles separated into their component atoms. The antimatter carefully converted back into normal matter. Every single weapon, from every single ship, was being gently taken apart at the molecular level. "What? What are you doing?" Krextor managed to whisper. "We're protecting ourselves," Chen's voice replied in his mind. "Without harming you, watch." The dissolved weapons didn't disappear. Instead, the atoms began to dance. They swirled and gathered, forming new shapes. Where 10,000 weapons had been, 10,000 flowers now floated in space. Each one was different, created from the exact atoms that had made up each weapon. They were beautiful, catching the sunlight and sparkling like jewels. "Impossible," Velith gasped. The energy required, the precision.
"It's impossible."
But it wasn't impossible. It was happening. "All ships, fire again," Krextor roared. "Everything. Hold nothing back." The fleet obeyed. Another wave of destruction launched toward Earth. This time, the humans didn't even bother stopping time. The weapons simply began dissolving the moment they were fired. Krextor watched a plasma beam leave his ship's cannon and turn into a stream of butterflies made of light. He saw antimatter missiles become clouds of glowing pollen. Graviton bombs transformed into tiny stars that twinkled and faded. "Stop," he commanded. "All ships, cease fire." But some captains were too angry or frightened to listen. They kept firing, and their weapons kept becoming beautiful, harmless things. A garden was growing in space, fed by the Zelathi's attempts at destruction. Then something new happened. The space around the inevitable Dominion shimmered. Krextor felt a strange tingling sensation, and suddenly he was somewhere else. Not his bridge. Not his ship. He was standing in a small room with white walls. The gravity was wrong, lighter than he was used to. Earth gravity. He spun around, reaching for weapons that weren't there. He was alone. No guards, no crew. Just him in an empty room with a single door. The door opened and Colonel Chen walked in. Not a hologram this time. The real person. She was smaller than he had expected, barely reaching the height of his secondary arms. She carried no weapons, wore no armor. She looked tired. "Admiral," she said, sitting down on a simple chair. "We need to talk. What did you do? Where is my fleet?" "Your fleet is exactly where you left it. Every ship, every crew member safe and unharmed. You, however, are in a pocket dimension, a bubble of space-time we created just for this conversation." Krextor lunged at her, his claws extended. He hit a wall that wasn't there, an invisible barrier that felt like solid reality itself. "Please don't," Chen said sadly. "I don't want to restrain you, but I will if necessary. You can't hold me here. My fleet will— Your fleet is being disarmed as we speak," Chen interrupted. "Not harmed, disarmed. Every weapon on every ship is being converted to its base elements. Your engines are being powered down. Your shields are being deactivated. In approximately 3 minutes and 7 seconds, your entire fleet will be completely helpless." "You're lying." Chen gestured, and one wall became transparent. Through it, Krextor could see space, could see his fleet, and could see the truth. His ships were being taken apart. Not destroyed, but carefully disassembled. Pieces were floating away, sorted by material. Weapons separated from hulls. Engines removed from frames. It was like watching 10,000 puzzles being solved in reverse. "No," he whispered. "This is impossible. No species has this power. 63 species have had this power." Chen corrected. "We found their ruins. They all used it for conquest. They all died. We chose a different path." She stood and walked to the transparent wall. "Do you know what reality is, Admiral? I mean, what it really is?" Krextor didn't answer. He was watching his mighty dreadnoughts being reduced to components. "Reality is information," Chen continued. "Every particle, every force, every moment of time is just information. And information can be edited. That's what we learned from the ruins. The civilizations that came before didn't just have better weapons. They had learned to edit reality itself. Then why did they die? Because they used it without wisdom. They edited too much, changed things that shouldn't be changed. The universe has safeguards, Admiral. Push too hard and it pushes back. We learn from their mistakes. We edit carefully, defensively, we protect but don't destroy. You're destroying my fleet. No, we're disabling it. Every piece will be returned. Every crew member will be safe. You'll be given functional but unarmed ships to return home. That's the difference between us and the civilizations that fell. We know when to stop. Through the wall, Krextor saw his crew members being transported off their ships. One by one, they vanished from their posts and reappeared in what looked like comfortable holding areas. They weren't being harmed or imprisoned. They were being given food, water, even entertainment screens showing Earth movies. 3 minutes and 7 seconds, Krextor said. You said it would take that long. How did you know so precisely? Chen smiled sadly. We've been running this scenario for 30 years. Every possible variation. Every potential response. We knew you would fire everything. We knew some captains wouldn't stop. We knew you would try to attack me. It's all happened before in our simulations. Then you knew we would come. We knew someone would come. If not you, then another empire. There's always another empire. The disassembly was nearly complete. 10,000 ships reduced to sorted materials floating in neat clouds. 10,000 crews safely contained. The greatest fleet in Zalathi history defeated without a single death. How long? Krextor asked. How long to put everything back together? For us? About 10 seconds for you? We'll take our time. 3 days to reassemble your ships. Without weapons, of course. Then you go home. The Emperor will send more ships. No, he won't. Chen touched the wall and the view changed. It showed the Zalathi homeworld. Because right now every Zalathi colony is seeing this. The view expanded. Holograms appearing on every Zalathi world. The destruction of the Grand Armada being broadcast live. Your empire is watching its greatest fleet being defeated by a single world. A world that isn't even fighting back, just protecting itself. This will start a panic, rebellions, the conquered worlds will rise up. Yes, Chen agreed. They will. And when they do, we'll be there, not to conquer but to protect, to ensure the transitions are peaceful, to prevent revenge and bloodshed. Your empire will transform, Admiral. From conquerors to members of a galactic community. Krextor sank to the floor. His legs couldn't hold him anymore. Why show me this? Why explain? Because you're not evil, Admiral. You're a product of your culture. Your empire taught that strength was everything. That conquest was glory. But you can learn. You can change. You can go home and tell them what you've seen. They won't believe me. They'll believe the recordings. Every second of this is being recorded from multiple angles. Your crew's testimonies, the sensor data, all of it proving that Earth could have destroyed you but chose not to. The wall showed the final moment. The last piece of the last ship carefully placed in a storage dimension. 10,000 ships reduced to organized components in exactly 3 minutes and 7 seconds. Chen turned to face him. In 72 hours, your ships will be reassembled. The Imperial Council chamber had never been so quiet. The massive hall, built to intimidate with its towering obsidian pillars and throne that rose 30 feet above the floor, felt empty despite being packed with every noble general and administrator in the Zalathi Empire. They were all watching the holographic display in the center of the room, watching their Grand Armada float helplessly in space, reduced to sorted components like a child's building blocks. Watching as 10,000 flowers drifted between the pieces, beauty born from attempted destruction. Emperor Karvoth the Eternal sat rigid on his throne. His scales, usually a deep purple of authority, had faded to a gray none had ever seen before. His 6 eyes were fixed on the image of Admiral Krextor standing on his powerless bridge, surrounded by his living but defeated crew. Turn it off, someone whispered. We can't, the Minister of Technology replied. The signal is coming from everywhere. Every screen, every communicator, every holographic projector in the Empire. The humans are broadcasting directly through our quantum network. I don't know how. The image changed. Admiral Krextor appeared alone, standing in what looked like a simple room. He looked different. Smaller somehow, though his physical size hadn't changed. He began to speak. My Emperor, my people, I have failed. The Grand Armada is defeated. Not destroyed, defeated. Every warrior lives. Every ship will be returned. But we have lost more than a battle. We have lost our illusion. The Emperor's claws dug into his throne's armrests, leaving deep gouges in the ancient stone. Krextor continued. Earth possesses technology beyond our understanding. They can manipulate reality itself. They turned our weapons into flowers. They disassembled our fleet in 3 minutes. They could have killed us all in seconds. But they didn't. Lies, someone in the crowd hissed. The humans corrupted him. Used mind control. But the hologram shifted, showing sensor data. Energy readings that shouldn't exist. Quantum signatures that defied physics. Video from 1,000 different angles showing the impossible becoming real. I spoke with their representative, Krextor said. They told me something I didn't want to believe. The humans have been watching us. All of us, for decades. They've seen every conquest, every enslaved world, every destroyed culture, and they did nothing because they were waiting. Waiting for what? The Emperor spoke for the first time, his voice echoing through the chamber. As if hearing him, Krextor's recording answered. Waiting for us to come to them. To prove that empires like ours would never stop unless someone stopped us. And now they have. The image changed again. Colonel Chen appeared, standing in what looked like the United Nations Assembly on Earth. Behind her, representatives from every human nation sat in unity. She spoke in perfect Zalathi, to the Zalathi Empire and all who serve it. This is not a declaration of war. This is a declaration of change. For too long, the strong have preyed upon the weak. Empires have risen on the backs of conquered worlds. This ends now. She gestured, and star maps appeared around her. We know the location of every enslaved world in your empire. As I speak, human protection fleets are appearing above each one. Not to conquer, not to destroy, but to ensure that what happens next is peaceful. The Emperor stood, his full height casting shadows across the chamber. Protection fleets? Where did they get fleets? The answer came immediately. Through the great windows of the council chamber, they could see space above the Zalathi homeworld. Ships were appearing. Not arriving, appearing. Stepping out of folded space-time like walking through doorways. 1, 10, 100. 1,000. They were nothing like Zalathi ships. They weren't built, they were grown. Crystalline structures that shifted between dimensions. Some were small as fighters, others large as moons. They took positions around the planet, not threatening, just watching. Chen's message continued. Every world in your empire now has witnesses. We will not interfere with your internal affairs, but we will prevent violence against civilian populations. Any attempt to punish conquered worlds for seeking freedom will be stopped. Any attempt to destroy resources or infrastructure out of spite will be prevented. This is invasion, the Minister of War shouted. No, Chen's image replied as if she could hear him. Invasion takes, we give. Invasion destroys, we protect. Invasion enslaves. We liberate. Your conquered worlds are being offered a choice. Remain with the Empire if they wish or claim independence. We will ensure either choice is respected. The Emperor's personal guard moved to attack positions, but there was nothing to attack. The human ships just floated there, peaceful and impossible. You might wonder how we have so many ships, Chen continued. The answer is simple. We don't. We have 12 ships, but each one exists in thousands of dimensional states simultaneously. What you see are echoes of the same vessels, each one as real as the others. It's not about numbers. It's about understanding. A new figure appeared beside Chen. A Karani, one of the first species the Zalathi had conquered centuries ago. It spoke in its musical voice. We choose independence, it said simply. After 300 years, we choose freedom. Another figure appeared. A Vom warrior. We choose independence, another. And another. Representatives from 30 of the 47 conquered worlds appeared, each stating the same choice. Independence. But then something unexpected happened. A figure from Zalathi's oldest conquest appeared, the Primi, a small, peaceful species conquered 500 years ago. We choose to remain, the Primi representative said, but as equals, not slaves. We have lived alongside the Zalathi for centuries. Our cultures have merged. Our children have grown up together. We don't want separation. We want transformation. The Emperor's scales shifted, showing confusion. They want to stay? Chen nodded in the recording. Some will stay. Some will go. That's what freedom means. The ability to choose. Your empire doesn't have to end, Emperor Karvoth. It has to change. From an empire of conquest to an alliance of choice. The recording shifted again. Now it showed Earth. Not the Earth the Zalathi had seen with its simple cities and primitive appearance. The real Earth. The planet was surrounded by structures that defied comprehension. Orbital rings that existed in multiple dimensions. Cities floating in bubble universes. The sun itself was wrapped in a partial Dyson sphere that collected energy across dimensional barriers. It was a civilization that had transcended physical space. This is what we've been building for 80 years, Chen explained. Not weapons, not fleets, infrastructure, education, art, science. We could have conquered the galaxy, but we chose to grow inward instead of outward, to develop wisdom instead of weapons, to protect instead of prey. The Emperor finally spoke to the recording, knowing somehow that he would be heard. What do you want from us? Chen's image looked directly at him, though that should have been impossible. We want you to grow, to learn, to become what you could have been without the weight of conquest. You have brilliant scientists who waste their talents on weapons, artists who are forced to create propaganda, leaders who could govern wisely but instead plan invasions. She paused. We're offering you something no empire has ever been offered. A second chance. Your fleet will be returned. Your worlds will remain yours if they choose. Your people will be free to travel and trade and learn. But the age of conquest is over. And if we refuse, the Emperor asked, then you'll be isolated. A bubble of space-time will be placed around your remaining systems. You'll be free to live as you choose within it, but unable to leave or harm others. It's not a punishment. It's protection. For you and for everyone else. The Minister of Science stepped forward, his scales shifting to show deep thought. Emperor, their technology? If they're telling the truth, they could teach us. We could learn to manipulate reality. We could become like them. At what cost? The Minister of War snarled. Our pride? Our traditions? Our traditions led us here. Admiral Krextor's voice interrupted. The recording had shifted back to him. Our pride brought us to defeat. Maybe it's time for new traditions. The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. Around him, the council argued. Some called for resistance, others for negotiation. Still others simply stared at the impossible ships hanging over their world. Finally, a new voice spoke. It was Prince Veltor, the Emperor's youngest son. He had never spoken in council before, too young by tradition. But tradition seemed meaningless now. Father, he said, his young voice clear, I've been studying the conquered worlds. Their art, their science, their stories. We've destroyed so much beauty, silenced so many voices. Maybe the humans are right. Maybe there's something better than conquest. The Emperor looked at his son, so young, so idealistic, so possibly right. Chen's image spoke one final time. You have 7 days to decide. Your fleet will be returned in 3. Use them to go home. To think, to choose. We'll be waiting, not as conquerors but as teachers, not as enemies but as potential friends. The recording ended. The hologram disappeared, but the ships remained floating impossibly above their world, watching, waiting, protecting. In the council chamber, the Zalathi Empire faced something it had never faced before. Not defeat, though they had been defeated. Not humiliation, though they had been humbled. They faced choice. Real choice. The freedom to become something new or remain something old.